Anthony Lewis on Harp Community Talk Radio. Today is Wednesday the 30th of May. So, today I'm on my own today as I'm filling in for Shahid Mahmood. And my show's normally on Friday, 1 till 2. But today, I'm going to go through some of the paper reviews today, because some things have come up in the media lately that I think is relevant to the Muslim community. I think we should hear what the Muslim community should have to say about how they feel about this. And I'd love to know, your thoughts and opinions on some of the topics I'll be bringing up today. So what I'm going to be bringing up today, one of the main topics will be, I don't know if you picked up the papers today, but yesterday there was an attack in Belgium where 2 policewomen were killed and a trainee teacher. And I'm going to read you the article and then I'm going to give you my views on it, and then I would really, really like to get the public's opinion on this. So, this is in brief, because this is at the Metro newspaper, and it says here, terror returned to Belgium yesterday as a former drug dealer murdered 2 women police officers and a trainee teacher before taking a cleaner hostage in a school. Benjamin Herman was said by a witness to have shouted Allah Akbar after creeping up behind grandmother Lucy Garcia and Soraya Bacanelli, I might have got that wrong, the mother of 13-year-old twins. I don't want to say what he did, it's a bit graphic, but basically he killed the 2 police officers with their own guns in a busy street, and then the 36-year-old ran into a school after fatally wounding another woman of 22 years old. He wounded 4 police officers who pursued him, but he was killed while fleeing into a building. Now turn to page 9. He was a prisoner who had been temporarily freed on Monday night. So this guy was freed Monday night, and he was getting ready to prepare himself to go back into society. A prison service source said the offender, described by guards as extremely violent, was thought to have been radicalised behind bars. One of the local MPs said that the killer had converted to Islam and was on an anti-terrorist watch list. The supervision of radicalised prisoners remains tragically flawed. Police suspects said that Herman was behind 2 crimes committed within hours of his release: the murder of a drug dealer in Luxembourg and a jewellery store raid in his hometown in Belgium. They said these attacks took place, the attacks on the 2 policewomen took place while they were doing foot patrol around 10:30 yesterday morning. He was dressed in black with a mask. He shot them outside a cafe before heading into a secondary school. Pupils fled in panic as he charged in, grabbed the female cleaner, who emerged unharmed after the gunman showdown with police. One officer suffered severe artery wounds in his thigh, and this guy apparently had racked up a whole load of convictions beforehand. So let's just put this in perspective. Oh, I must add this bit. The papers also added that they confirmed that they think this is highly motivated for the motivation for these attacks was terrorism. So, what I'm taking from this is a guy who wasn't Muslim when he went into prison. He became Muslim and they released him on Monday. He went through a crime spree all during that week where he actually killed 2 officers and a trainee teacher, and plus wounding countless other people. And because he said Allah Akbar, they think it's an act of terrorism. Now, to me, take away the fact that he said that and they say witnesses heard him say that, yeah? So take away the fact that he said Allah Akbar. What would you call somebody that do something like that? To me, this guy's a psychopath. To me, he's a serial killer. If a white Christian male had done this, would it have been an act of terrorism? If a black guy had done this under any other guise, any other religion, would they have counted that as an act of terrorism? I'd leave that open for you to answer that question. The point I'm trying to make is this, though. How does that affect a community, a Muslim community, when something like this happens? I mean, on a daily basis, the papers are always printing that there was attack over in this country, there was attack here, there was a terrorist attack over there. And what I want to know, as a Muslim community, how does that affect you? When you hear that somebody done a suicide bombing in a mosque or a street, or, you know, killed loads of people on a bus, do you feel the negative impact from society through that? When you go out into the street the next day, do you feel people watching you? Do you feel that maybe you have to explain your religion is not that? Because I know Islam to be a very peaceful religion. I know Islam to be one of the most peaceful, one of the most generous religions that's in this world. So when you have a guy that was probably an atheist before this, he was probably some other denomination, and then they say he got radicalised in prison and then come out and commit these acts, and because he said Allah Akbar, now that's a terrorism. Do you feel as a community, do you have to bear the weight of that because of some actions? Because the newspaper seem to like, to me, I feel that this is another bit of fear-mongering. It was like the Kill a Muslim Day letters that went out a few months back. Now, I know personally some people that didn't go out that day, okay? And the effect that something like that being spread on Facebook, a letter saying that a Muslim is going to be killed on a certain day, to me, that's terrorism, okay? That's creating fear. That is creating terrorism. What this guy did was just psychotic. This was evil, yeah? And the fact he said Allah Akbar is neither here nor there to me. The fact you said he was radicalised in prison, that doesn't mean a thing to me. What I'm worried about is that a man went into the streets and committed these atrocities. And that's what we need to be focusing on. But that's just my opinion. I would love to know what your thoughts on that. I would love to know whether, you know, when things, not just this topic, things have happened before with July the 7th bombings and stuff like that. How did you feel as a community after that? Did it affect you? I know some clerics come out back in the time and said, we don't want to be associated with these acts of terrorism. This is not us. So, you know, this is good, it's positive stuff, but it's not widely publicised when the Muslim community come out against these things, you know? I mean, I know this because I live within a community where Muslims thrive and we get along together, and regardless of religion, you know, we associate with each other. But in a wider community, and through newspaper and media, you don't really hear when clerics say, you know, stand out against these sort of actions. And do you even feel the need that you need to defend yourself when things like this happen? Because in my mind, this is just a madman. This is just somebody that was sick in the head. He probably had mental health issues, probably had a very violent childhood. And to me, he used your religion as an excuse to commit these atrocities. But the way the paper portrays this, it's just like, oh, it's another extremist, it's another jihad, oh, they're doing it again. And I would really love to hear your thoughts on this topic. So I'll leave that thought with you. And I'm going to move on to something else, a bit of a more lighter note here. Now, there's an article here about Pret a Manger. They're a sandwich chain, and I know they do great work in the community. A lot of charities get at the end of each day, when Pret a Manger closes up, they collect all their sandwiches, their drinks, and stuff that they haven't sold, and they deliver it all around London to charities, homeless charities, shelters, and so people can eat the food. So they don't just throw it away, they don't waste it. And I know personally that they give thousands and thousands of sandwiches, drinks, food away every day. So I've always liked Pret a Manger. You know, they're a good food chain. So there's an article here where some German billionaires are going to buy a major stake in Pret a Manger. It says here that a company controlled by a family of German billionaires are buying a majority stake in the fast food business. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, they have 12,000 employers, and once the deal goes through and these German billionaires buy their stake in the company, every employee gets £1,000 each in their bank account. So I just want to say congratulations to that, and maybe more business should do things like that, you know, when they're about to make a major profit, or, you know, this group, who's selling it, is Bridgepoint? Yeah, so a firm named Bridgepoint owns Pret a Manger, and they're selling it to a German company. They're selling it for actually £1.5 billion, and they're going to give £1,000 to each one of their employers. So if you're a Pret a Manger worker or employee, do you know about this? And are you looking forward to your little windfall that's coming in? And yeah, like they do really good work. Pret a Manger are one of the better sandwich chains, and I'm really happy for them, and I wish them all the best for the future. So, moving on to another topic that caught my eye today in the Metro. And obviously, if you want these stories in a bit more detail, I would suggest one of your more national newspapers, because the Metro tend to do most of their stuff in brief. But the World Cup, England are already out in Russia, and the players are training out there. And there's a little article come up about Raheem Sterling and his tattoo. I don't know if you heard about that. He has a gun tattoo on his thigh, which during training it was highlighted, and there's been a bit of an uproar saying, oh, he's got a gun on his thigh, and, you know, is he promoting gun crime, and what message is he sending out to the kids of today, him being a young English footballer and that. And what seems to be coming out of this is, come on, England are out in Russia, they're trying to prepare for the World Cup, and why are we laying into him? Because he has a tattoo. He's 18 years old. I think that's how old he is, isn't he? Yeah, if I'm wrong, correct me. And, you know, tattoo seems to be the thing of kids these days, isn't it? Everybody loves a tattoo. And apparently Sterling's father was killed in Jamaica. He was shot dead in Jamaica. So maybe it's an act of tribute to his father, you know? So, but what I tend to realise with the media again, before our players have even kicked a ball out there, they are getting slaughtered. They are getting put down, they are getting, their personal lives are being ripped apart. Why doesn't this country ever just support their team? I mean, there is so much pressure. Me coming from an ex-footballing background as well, I know the pressure of professional football, yeah? And these guys have not even kicked the ball yet in the first match, and already they're picking out one of our best players and trying to put him down over a tattoo. Now, okay, could he pick a better two for a gun? Who knows, yeah? But isn't it down to personal choice what kind of tattoo you have? So I'd love to hear your feelings on that. And how do you think England going to do during the World Cup as well? I think their first game is against, I'm not sure if it's Tunisia. Their first game, they have Panama in their game. They also have Belgium as well. So do you think England will qualify in their group? Do you think they'll beat Belgium as well? They say that Mo Salah, who was injured in the Champions League final, wasn't he? He got taken off in the first half due to an injury. They say he may have a chance to take part in the World Cup. It says here, Mohamed Salah could yet star at the World Cup after being given 3 to 4 weeks time frame to return to fitness. The Liverpool star suffered a nasty shoulder injury under a controversial challenge from Sergio Ramos during the Champions League final, but could face Real Madrid defender again in Russia. It is possible Egypt and Spain could face off in the second round, and Salah will be fit to play if they do. Liverpool physio told Marca, once we knew the injury, they planned the treatment. He is sad about what happened, but he is totally focused on recovery and seeing when he can be ready. He is going to mark the recovery time in principle, and it will be from 3 to 4 weeks, but we are going to try and reduce those deadlines. That is the big goal. Egypt's Group A opener is against Uruguay on June 15th. It looks like a bit of a push for Salah, who arrived in Spain for treatment yesterday, and will hope to make the second match against the host 4 days later. Meanwhile, an Egyptian lawyer has reportedly launched an £873 million lawsuit against Sergio Ramos for inflicting physical and psychological harm to Salah during Liverpool's 3-1 defeat. While nearly 500,000 people have signed a petition urging UEFA and FIFA to punish the Real captain, UEFA has already ruled Ramos will not be punished over a separate incident when it was alleged he elbowed the Liverpool goalkeeper. So there you have it. So Mo Salah is looking to be fit for maybe the second match of the group stages in Russia. I think him getting injured in the Champions League final, that was a serious blow to Liverpool. If Liverpool had any chance of winning that game, they needed him. So I wouldn't be surprised if when Real Madrid went out there, they specifically decided, let's take Mo out. Let's just take him out. Because Real Madrid, when they play football, they're so experienced. They've been in so many Champions League finals that, they're professionals. So they knew he was the threat, and they took him out within the first half. So maybe that's why they want to go for a lawsuit, because you don't normally get lawsuits to sue a player for injuring another player. I mean, I thought that come with the contract. So they must have saw something specific in what Ramos did for them to actually put in a lawsuit against him. So I'm going to keep you updated on that story. And Frank Lampard is now the new manager at Derby County. That's another topic. Frank Lampard is on the verge, of becoming Derby manager after having talks with the Championship club. So that's another thing that I'll be covering in the future once we get a bit more information on that. So yes. So on Friday, I'll be having my show 1 till 2. I may have said to you earlier about who's going to be on it, but I'll repeat again. I'm going to have, as you know, I've got my own charity, Newham Harp, and my chairperson is a woman named Debbie Brown. So she'll be on here Friday, and she will be discussing her life and how she got to where she got to now, and the struggles she went through, and why she decided to join Newham Harp, because she's had many opportunities to join many other groups, and she doesn't just join a group for the fun of it. When Debbie picks something, she picks it for a reason. So we're going to hear a bit more about that. And plus, as well, I'll be bringing a young guy named Antonio Gomez. Now, Antonio Gomez, he was a youth player at Valencia Football Club out in Spain. Now, he's now currently homeless, and he's living in Anchor House, the same place where I am. And you have to ask the question, how does an up-and-coming superstar of football, because he was the next best thing in Spain, playing for a League One Spanish side, and outside Barcelona, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, Valencia and Sevilla, the two teams that are up there. So he was part of one of the bigger clubs out there. How does a starlet, the next best thing in football, start off in Spain and end up homeless in East London. That is something I'm going to be discussing with him and talking to him about his journey, where he's got to, and what he plans and holds for the future. So he'll be another one coming in. Also, we have grime star named JC. Now, this guy here, he has made countless videos, a lot of good tunes, and he's currently looking for a home as well. He's currently homeless as well. And another amazing story. He's actually getting things back on his feet, and he'll be on his show talking about his music, talking about who inspired him as a child, why he chose to do music, his type of music, what plans he has for the future. And these are the sort of things that I'll be bringing to my show on a Friday, not just the political stuff. I won't be just talking about charities. Of course, we're going to have charities coming in talking about the things they do and the work they do in the community. We'll also have an Amanda Dubarry, CEO of Anchor House. She will also be popping into my show at a later date and saying what she's doing at Anchor House, because a bit of background with Amanda, she currently started at Anchor House in March, and in the short time she's been there, she has made some really significant changes. There is still a lot of work to do, don't get me wrong, but they've been so positive. And if anybody knows anything about Anchor House, over the last year and a half, it's been very, very turbulent, very unstable. They've had 2 CEOs resign. They had acting CEO come in to steady the ship. So in the space of a year and a half, we've had Anchor House has had three CEOs, I would say. They've had 4, sorry. Amanda would be the 4th CEO there. So I would like to ask, so what makes her any different from the CEOs beforehand, and what she's doing to change things and to make things a better place for the residents in Anchor House. So she'll be joining the show. We'll also have some people that are doing some projects. We have a Kirsty Hendry coming in, talking about Capoeira, which she holds every Monday at Canning Town Library. She was talking about what Capoeira means to her, why she got into Capoeira. It started off as a Brazilian dance, a Brazilian slave dance, and it's a form of martial arts as well. And I'm the worst person to actually tell you about this, so Kirsty will be in at some point. We're going to find out when the best schedule for her to come in, and she'll be talking about all these things as well. So we're also going to have Lee Bowyer, Charlton Athletic football manager, trying to manage to get him in and talk to us a bit about what he's doing down at Charlton Athletic as well. Also, I'm going to get a guy named Dal Guerrero, one of West Ham's project advisors, who does walking football down at Beckton Foundation and many, many other football projects he does as well. He will be coming in, talking about what West Ham United are doing in the community. And the list goes on. Literally, I have to do a whole diary to fill out the year calendar of the great people that's going to be coming in and going to be giving interviews and giving you information on places to go, things you can do, stuff you can join in and be a part of. Also, I want to be and this has not been, I've not even sorted this one out yet, but at some point I'm hoping that I can get a chat with the mayor, the new mayoress, and hopefully she'll come in and tell us, because she's doing some good things at the moment. And with politicians and, public servants and councillors, sometimes you have to be sceptical on what they promise and what they say, because a lot of them, they say what they want you to hear to get them into office, but every 1 out of every 5 actually does what they say, and it looks like Roxana may be the one that could be that 1 out of 5. So hopefully I'm going to manage to see her or talk to her at some point, and hopefully we can get some time on air with her, and hopefully you guys will ring up and answer a few questions. So, what else has been going on in the world? Oh, there was a new law passed, wasn't there? An abortion law. In where was it now? Let me just double check. Because there's a Tory MP named Jacob Moggs. I think that's correct. Yeah, Jacob Moggs. And the Prime Minister. Let me just read you the article. He tells this MP, Jacob Moggs, it tells MP not to meddle in abortion laws. Because if you don't know, abortion laws were changed in a certain country where, what was it, Australia? Yeah, there was a laws change in Australia where abortion. Let me just read you the article. So, Tory MP Jacob Moggs said Theresa May should resist pressure to reform abortion laws in Northern Ireland. The Prime Minister has faced calls to act after Irish voters overwhelmingly backed legalising abortion last week. Okay, so the Irish, voted to legalise abortions. Okay, Labour Baroness, the Shadow Attorney General, said Miss May, as a self-identifying feminist, should deliver similar rights to women north of the border. That's England, where abortions are permitted only if women's life is at risk or there is a permanent or serious risk to their mental or physical health. Mr. Moggs, a Roman Catholic who opposes abortion as a matter of principle, said he was saddened by the referendum results in Ireland. The father of six insisted it was for Northern Irish politicians to decide on any reform. He urged Miss May to encourage all parties in Northern Ireland to restore the institution, including the Assembly, which has been suspended since January 2017. This issue is really one of devolution, so that's the opposite of evolution, he told an LBC radio correspondent. Abortion responsibility is de-evolution to Northern Ireland, and if you respect our constitutional settlement, then these issues ought to be decided in the right place. This is one of the reasons for encouraging Northern Irish politicians to bring their assembly back together so that they can settle these issues that are their responsibility. So basically what he's saying is that they've all had a referendum to legalise abortion, but they didn't do it in the correct setting where more than one party can vote for it. So he is saying that they should vote again, because he doesn't agree with legalising abortion. Do you think that we should bring this referendum to England? Do you think that abortion is something that should be legalised? Should be allowed if we think that? And who decides? Who decides whether the mental health of the woman giving birth is at risk? Right? Who decides whether that the abortion? Who gives? Is it the doctor? Is it the woman that says, okay, I don't think I can mentally cope with a child, I want an abortion? So that's a weird one, because I know with the Catholics as well, I know they are dead set against it. But if a woman's health is at risk, if her mental health is at risk, is that a reason enough? And then does that open up the doors to maybe birth control? I mean, what's the next step? If you've got mental health problems, would you consider then maybe you shouldn't be thinking about kids? I don't know. Maybe it's an accidental pregnancy. This topic is so, it's a bit of a minefield. Yeah, you really got to be careful what you say and how you say it. But Northern Ireland are legalising abortions, and you can decide whether somebody can have an abortion if they're at risk of mental health or physical health, if they're at serious risk of mental health or physical health. Do you think that's something that this country should adopt? Is that something we should be talking about? Are we okay the way things are? What is the current state as abortion is right now. So yeah, please let me know about that. Moving on to primary school pupils, it says here that primary school teachers spend a total of more than 1 million hours each year cleaning up pupils who don't know how to use the loo. Really? Really? 1 million hours? Don't you ever think who does these surveys? Like, who sits down and think, right, what survey shall we do today? Let's do a survey on how many hours a teacher cleans up pupils' toilet. Like, anyway, a fifth of early year staff waste up to 30 minutes each week dealing with toilet troubles, according to the research. I'd love to know who done this research. The cost to the education system is an estimate £111 million. Wow. So they're trying to say that every week teachers spend 30 minutes cleaning up toilet stuff. Like whether somebody weed on the side of the toilet, missed the toilet, I don't know. But they spend 30 minutes a week cleaning the toilet. And it is costing the education system £11 million. I really would like to, hold on, let me read more. Right. So, James Bowen, Director of Teaching Union, said head teachers increasingly report that 4 to 5-year-olds are arriving at school unable to use the toilets alone. Wow. Okay, my daughter's 7 and she can use the toilet. 5? Don't they have teachers' assistants where a teacher's assistant goes out while the... Yeah, they have teachers' assistants. Well, I know in my daughter's school, they have teachers' assistants that will escort kids that want to go to the toilet while the teacher continues to teach the lesson. So are you trying to tell me that these teacher assistants that are taking these kids to the toilets is costing the education system £11 million a year? In turn, us, the taxpayer, yeah, are having to pay this money. Really? I don't know about this one. I really don't know about this one. Anyway, while there's always will be a small number who have significant problems and need additional support, this appears to be the growing problem. Some pupils who can use the loo try not to because they dislike visiting school bathrooms. The research by health and hygiene company Essity also shows about 4.7 million actively avoiding, okay, I don't know, this is daytime radio, so I'm going to be as clean as possible, doing the other one at school, and 1 in 10 teachers has seen a child not eating or drinking in the hopes they won't feel nature calling. Okay. One deterrent can certainly be the hygiene and condition of the facility. So, hold on, haven't they got cleaners at school? Really? Okay, so number one, isn't there cleaners at school during school time, which should be checking the toilets every 2 to 3 hours, making sure they're in good condition? And if that's the case, how would... Wow. Okay, who is this group that does this survey? Right. So primary school, so they're actually saying the primary school teachers spend a total of 100 hours. So they're not saying that the cleaners are cleaning up, not the teacher's assistant. They're saying teachers are stopping what they're doing for 30 minutes to take a week, to take our children to the toilet and then having to clean up behind them because, what, they can't pee straight or something? I don't know. But whatever it is, they're trying to say it's costing us £11 million. To me, I think these surveys are made to justify why they raise tax on us. Because to me, this is absolutely ridiculous, okay? If there's a problem with schools, toilets being a mess, then you assign a cleaner to clean the mess every 2 to 3 hours. Like, I know Anchor House is not a school, but I do know the toilets get checked and cleaned every couple of hours, okay? So They're constantly clean, and if there's any immediate mess, it's highlighted and it's gone in and it goes in before and it's cleaned up. So, and that's in an adult hostel. So at a school, I would assume some kind of policy like that would be adopted as well. So when I read stuff like this, I just think that's just them telling us that they need more money to put into what cleaning loos. It cost them 11 million. So they're going to say, is that an excuse that we can't educate our child this way because 11 million's being wasted doing that? Hire a cleaner. Just hire a cleaner. Yeah. If the cleaner has to stay at the school toilets, if that's all she does all week, then hire a cleaner. I'm sure you don't have to pay a cleaner £1 million a year, 11 million pound, 11 million pounds, 11 million pounds a year, right, to clean toilets. Listen, get a cleaner. Yeah. Each school, get a cleaner. Keep them clean. Our kids need to use toilets. If you're saying at the age of 5 some ain't learned it yet, alright, fair enough. They may not, and you're escorting them. That's part of the job, okay? Your teachers, they're under your care. Get it done. Don't be getting these surveys done, yeah, and then wanting to tell the public it's costing you the education system 11 million, yeah, to clean after our children. Look, hire a cleaner and be done with it and stop wasting our time and our taxpayers' money, yeah, on rubbish like this. How much did it even cost you to get them to do this survey in the first place? And how many people, who does these surveys? What, did you go to, did this, who are they? The Essity, the company Essity, how many schools did they actually go to complete the survey? 1, 2 schools, 3 schools? Did they go to every school in England and come up with this budget? Where did they come up with the 11 million from? Listen, I bet you they've done about maybe 6 schools, yeah, and then they sort of generalised it all on that. But then they give us these figures so that when the time comes, they can say, oh, well, we need an extra 11 million to do this, and we need... No, you don't, yeah? If you want money, tell us what you want the money for. Don't be telling us about you're cleaning up after our children because we haven't taught our children to pee straight or something. Is that what you're basically saying? Ridiculous. Anyway, I'm going to move on from that because that's just ridiculous. What's this? Oh, gosh, right, yeah. So there was a bus crash where there was 25 car pile-up yesterday. 14 people were injured in last night, about 7 o'clock. There was a man walking across the road, across the motorway. Where was this? He was in Dartford, Kent. And I know it's not round here, but these things happen. There was a car crash just on Lonsdale Avenue the other day. The police were chasing these kids in the car, and there's roadworks on Lonsdale Avenue. That's just up near Upton Parkway, near Newham General Hospital. So these car has gone past, and because of the roadworks, the road's really narrow. And as he's gone to turn, he's hit the side of a van. The car spun over, literally landed on their back, and because it was a police chase, wasn't it? So they're trying to get away from the police. They've hit some van, flipped over a couple of times. So one of my charity workers actually sort of FaceTimed me, and like she was there at the crash about 11 o'clock that night, and these kids, they were trying to get away from the police. And what really annoys me is that kids could have been walking up and down the street, and could have been our kids walking up and down, and these guys, they've going 100 miles an hour down these narrow back streets, and if it weren't them hitting the van and rolling over, somebody could have died on the way. So, you know what, listen, we need to be a bit more conscious when we're out driving, and please, when we're out there with our kids and we're walking the road, even when a car stops, like, still be cautious when crossing the road, because sometimes these cars, because it's on amber, they don't want to stop. They just want to fly through, and then, you know, they hit and run, they drive off, and we end up being the victims, and we do everything right. So can we just be a bit more mindful when we're out there, please? But yeah, anyway, there was a bus crash. A bus crashed into 25. How did a bus crash into 25 vehicles? It must have crashed into a vehicle, and somehow 25 other vehicles got affected by this, and 14 people were injured. And it was down to a man careless driving, and the guy was arrested, and etc. etc. That's just Metro Bites there. You can read a bit more about that later. But the reason why I just want to add it in is that I've just noticed that a lot of these back streets, the young people are using them as a place to drive really fast. You know, they see a back road, they think that, you know, no one's crossing the road here, you know, we can get away, and they just put their foot down. And sometimes, even with zebra crossing, it's not even that safe anymore. I don't know what we can really do about that as a community, but just be more aware that some people are not stopping at these zebra crossings, and some people, they're just driving so fast they couldn't stop in time even if they wanted to. So yeah, so moving on from that, and what we got, oh gosh, time flies when you're on the radio, I tell you. I wanted to bring up, have you heard this whole Starbucks topic with the Starbucks? Apparently 2 Starbucks customers were arrested because they say Starbucks staff are, what's the word they use? Let me get this correct now. Well, I'll read it to you. Starbucks closed their more than 8,000 coffee shops across the US yesterday to conduct an anti-brash training for staff. So it came after the arrest of 2 customers, Rashon Nelson and Dante Robinson, at a Philadelphia outlet in April, when the employer accused them of trespassing. So these couple of black guys walked into this restaurant because they didn't want them there. They said, "Oh, you can't come in, you're trespassing." How do you trespass in local? They wasn't banned beforehand either. It's not like they came to the shop, started trouble, and then they got banned. No, they just come in for a coffee. But because the staff didn't like the look of them, they told them that they're trespassing and they had to leave. And apparently this has been happening across the board in the US lately. So now Starbucks has shut 8,000 of their stores to give their staff training, yeah, on how not to be discriminating, how not to be racist. This is mad. I mean, I thought this is just common sense. When you work in a retail shop of some sort, where you do customer service, whether you like the person or not, that is your job. You're there to receive these people. You're there to offer a service. You're not there to be rude. You're not there to tell them that you're trespassing. So the fact that they need to have training, to me, is ridiculous, really ridiculous. And Starbucks, they need to up their game, because I'm not a big coffee shop person, but if I did decide to go into a coffee shop, I wouldn't want to be told you're trespassing just because they didn't like the look of me. So yeah, they're putting them all through these expert training, apparently, and workers were divided into small groups and offered virtual guidance. Yeah, virtual guidance. Now, apparently this has been so bad that the rapper and activist Common, he's a big rapper in America, he's taken the lead on this, and he's literally going into these stores and offering them training. So whether he had a bad experience with Starbucks and decided to take this on board, I'm not sure. But since the arrest, the company has attempted to restore its image as a cafe chain where all people are welcomed. Well, I thought all people should have been welcomed anyway, and the fact that you have to retrain your staff because your staff wasn't making the customer welcome is really disgusting. It's disgusting. So if I was you guys, until they finish all their training course, why don't we just avoid Starbucks? Okay, what else have we got? What else have we got? The papers. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to talk about. We have the Newham show coming up soon, and hold on, it's in there in the paper. See, I've got to start arguing myself a bit more. That's right. Anyway, we've got the Newham show coming up in June. I'll tell you Friday the exact date. I'm not absolutely 100% sure what the exact date is. But in June is the Newham show. And at the Newham show, there's going to be a little charity football match going on. Now, no one needs to sign up beforehand to get your team together. But on Friday, I'm going to give you a bit more information. But my charity, before I started my charity, I was running a football team at Anchor House. It was Crichton House Football Club. And this is how I got in contact with West Ham United and started doing all the football stuff that I do, the walking football down at West Ham Foundation in Beckton. And, okay, I think I've got a call. Let's answer this. So, first... Okay, no, I haven't got a call. Is that just... Okay, the technician will give me a hand here. Right, what just happened there? Okay, alright, cool. So if it comes in, I'll just press that and do it again. Okay, there we go. Right, so I press this. And then there we go. And line. Okay. Hello, caller. Welcome to Ramadan FM. How can I help?
Oh, good afternoon, young Anthony. Shahid here. How are you?
Oh, hi, Shahid. How are you?
I'm very fine. I'm fine. First of all, let me congratulate you. I know I think you're doing the show yourself today.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And you're doing a fantastic job. Some of the discussions and some of the topics you chose have been really thought-provoking. I think the one around the Ireland issue and abortion, I think there's a lot of discussion that needs to be had amongst groups, and obviously from Radio Ramadan, what's the Islamic perspective, and perhaps we can get someone in the future from the mosque itself, maybe some of the imams, to actually give us some background into what the Islamic perspective on that is. But more importantly, you've touched upon this story around staff not dealing with people properly.
Yes.
I just wanted to, because obviously of your background and what you've been through, and also people at Caritas House or people who are homeless on the streets.
Yeah.
Now, is it not the case that when we see, if you're a shop owner and you see someone who looks unclean and they look untidy and they're homeless, they're out on the streets, that they treat them slightly differently. So if you walk into a restaurant, they want that person to leave as soon as possible. So is that not some sort of discrimination in itself?
Yeah, okay. I can understand if, if you're coming in as a customer to buy something, then you should be treated as such, okay?
Okay.
With all the politeness and the good manners that comes with treating your customers. Okay, if somebody may be offending other customers, they might not even mean to, but whether it's a bad smell or something like that, then as a staff, you should have the right to go over to that customer and very politely offer any assistance you can to them, or just let them know you're making our staff be uncomfortable. There's ways of approaching people and, letting them know what. But to say you're trespassing, like you're just walking in and you're about to get offered a coffee and being told you're trespassing, and to me, in a public place where you go into to buy stuff, to me that's just rude, just right from the bat. And the fact
absolutely.
And the fact that staff members are doing that, to me, that's not even about training. You do not need to be trained in manners, to me. That's something that, you should learn. If you're not taught that as a child, you should have learnt that as an adult. And if they've got to shut down nearly 8,000 stores, to do this trading, then there's something wrong on their behalf. It's a mentality that needs to be broken, and it needs to be readdressed.
You're absolutely right. It's good manners. It's just basic common sense, really, isn't it?
That's
Which they do say it's not that common, unfortunately.
And the fact that it's started out in the US doesn't surprise me anyway. So that's my views. And there's certain ways that you should treat and approach people, and especially if it's something that you know that may upset someone, then you need to be
Yeah.
even more delicate with it. Yeah, and that should
Yes.
just
Yes.
be a human response. You know, that should be natural. And if you
Yeah.
have not got the skills to do that, then ask somebody with the skills to go and do it. It's, you know, you're in a job where you're providing a customer service, and the customer service is not to make someone feel alienated. Your customer
Yes.
service is
Yes.
not to make somebody feel bad, you know. And it went as far as people getting arrested. So, you
No,
know,
no, and yeah, you're absolutely right. Just one particular point. You mentioned something around the people who are driving. Obviously, people have to be very careful. We know for a fact that in Newham and particularly in London, there's been lots of killings and stabbings.
yes,
But one of the things we fail to remember, and obviously that's so important that we try to deal as a community, try to deal with those sort of issues. But the other issue, which is probably equally as important, perhaps even more important, because the number of deaths due to dangerous driving or reckless driving,
yes,
particularly in Newham and other areas, I don't know the statistics, but
yeah,
I'm sure it's quite high,
yeah.
can actually be resolved and they can be minimized if people started using some common sense.
Taking responsibility.
Taking
Yeah,
responsibility. When it's a 30-mile zone, it's there
yeah,
for a particular reason. Where there's a 20-mile zone, it's
exactly.
there for a particular reason.
Yeah,
It's not because they want to test you. It's basically because there might be a school there,
yeah,
and when you've got children yourself,
yeah,
you don't want to take that chance that some
yeah,
idiot is going to come round and
yeah,
driving
yeah,
40 or 50 in that sort of zone. It's done for a purpose, isn't it?
exactly. There's been a time when, actually, my personal experience, there was a time when I was actually with my daughter, and the car actually stopped at the zebra crossing for us to cross. And as we was about to
Mm.
step out into the road, another car just zoomed around it and sped past us, just missed us. So, like, the point I wanted to make as well is that yes, people have to take responsibility for their driving as well, but sometimes, like, we can do all the right things, and still you're going to get that person that does something reckless that can put you in danger. So even when we think we're doing a simple crossing across a zebra crossing and the cars even stop, just don't take it as a given that everything's okay. Just keep vigilant, because you just get some, even like when they're getting chased by police, whoever's getting chased by a police officer, they don't care who's in the way, they want to get away. And,
Of
they're
course.
not going to wait for the car, a zebra crossing, for someone to come past. So we just also need to, until we can resolve this in some sort of way or make it safer for us, we need to be extra vigilant as well, just to know that sometimes we can do all the right things and bad things still happen. So we need to even maximise the way we are
You're
in
absolutely
heighten
right.
our,
You're absolutely
what's the
right.
word, to make sure we're more vigilant, when,
Yeah, I mean, one of the problems I think we often see. I'm a person of the 70s and 80s,
yeah,
and obviously there were lots of accidents even then. But one of the things I often notice is that people are not vigilant, and for one of the main reasons for that is that they've got some headphones on as they're crossing the road, and
yes,
they're not even concentrating, and they walk right into the middle of the road,
yep,
and then
yes, yes,
then realize actually a car's coming towards them.
yes. Even with their mobile phones, they could have their mobile
Yes,
phones, just they've got
absolutely.
their heads down, they're not looking. Like, you need to just stop when you're crossing the road. Just don't matter if you're in mid-conversation, mid-sentence, mid-text, you need to stop and cross the road
Yes,
first and
yeah,
continue afterwards. Your phone's not going anywhere, but your life will if
yeah.
you're not being vigilant out there. Yeah, you're
No,
absolutely right.
absolutely. Perhaps it's something that we need as a community again to look at, because in schools it used to be, when we were in school, they used to talk about the Green Cross Code, and
Lollipop
you used to have the
lady.
Green Man.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
the lollipop ladies.
yeah,
But the other thing is perhaps that needs to be reinforced in schools,
yeah.
particularly in light of what we use. Especially we're using our mobile phones. We're playing games as we're walking across the road. We're
No,
talking to each other very, very loudly, as if the person's in front of us as we're crossing the road, and we've got no sense of what's happening around us.
no, we haven't. And that's another thing. I remember you used to see a lollipop lady, not just at schools. You used to see them all over. Lollipop man, lollipop lady. They used to be all over the place, didn't they?
Yeah,
And they would
yes,
help
yes.
people across the road. It's like, I think they've cut back over them over the years, haven't they?
It seems so. It seems so. And I know there's the radio station recently had Stephen Timms
Yeah.
on, and he was talking about some of the issues around the lack of policing. I mean, the police
Yeah.
resources are cut down to a bare minimum,
Yeah.
and that's another community issue. That if that's the case,
Yeah.
then how do you expect the crime to decrease, and how do you expect these sort of issues
Yeah.
not to come forward?
That's right. Okay. Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway,
So
Anthony, it was a pleasure. Thank you very much,
that's okay. No, thank you for
and keep up the
calling.
good work.
Thank you for calling.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
You take
Bye.
care.
Okay. Okay. Yes. So. Okay. Well, thank you for Shahid for calling there. Do I press that? There we go. Right. Thank you, Shahid, for that call. Yes, very relevant. Have you noticed the lollipop ladies? Do you remember when we used to have lollipop ladies at every crossroads, every zebra crossing? I know they're pretty much at schools now because I know there's a lollipop lady at my daughter's school, and she's a very nice lady, but she's part of the school. So she's one of the teacher's assistants. And I was talking about teacher's assistants earlier. She's a teacher's assistant that helps the teachers in the classroom, and then just before just before school and just before the end of school, she will leave the school, put on her lollipop lady, get her sign out, and she'll go to the 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 road, and she'll wait for the kids to come out, and she'll escort them across the road. And she's a very dominant lollipop lady as well. Like, she'll be out there and she'll stop the car, you stop there and you're waiting there, and she'll stand there and she'll let all the kids go across, and until they've put both feet on the other side of the road, then she'll let the cars go past. And if anyone gave her any lip or anything like that, she'll tell the drivers. And so she's a very dominant, very thorough lollipop lady. So shout goes out to Paulette, the lollipop lady. But yeah, I don't seem to notice them so much. And if I wasn't taking my daughter to school on a regular basis, I probably wouldn't even see lollipop ladies anymore. Should we bring lollipop ladies back? Would that be good? Not just in schools, but maybe just at most busy roads, because they were always the barrier between an accident and you. They were the ones where cars had to stop. If there ain't no traffic lights, they stop for them there. So, saying that, another topic I wanted to talk about, I was reading in the paper the other day, not this paper, not the Metro, there was an award where a building project, a residential building project in Newham, won the best award for the best building residential project. So basically, they built 3 blocks of housing for people to live in, 350 homes, sorry. And they got the best architects of the year, Royal Institution Award or something it was. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that in the paper they said 40% was affordable housing, and that was it. And thank you for voting us for that. There were so many other groups that could have won it and patting themselves on the back. Well, I've got a big issue with most developers, most people that are building houses, especially in Newham right now. For starters, who can afford a house in London, let alone in Newham these days? If there is anyone out there that think they can afford a house, I dare you to ring up right now, because there is no such thing as affordable housing in London, let alone Newham Borough. Okay? So 40% was affordable housing, and they didn't give what the other 60% was either. I don't know what the other 60% is, because it wasn't said in the paper. Maybe it's for a good cause, I don't know. But what my gripe is, and I use the word gripe, but what makes me passionate about things like this is, number one, I've noticed affordable housing is being replaced for social housing. Okay, now social housing, as we know, is for us, the residents of this community, the families that need homes, affordable homes, yeah, for residents of a borough or a community. That's social housing. We don't get social housing anymore. We just get affordable homes. And then, so take for instance, the old the post depot over at West Ham. Now, I know the council has given permission, has been given a grant for £40 million to build new homes on there. They say 65% goes to private landlords and businesses and, entrepreneurs, whatever, and 35% is affordable housing. So 35% affordable housing, 65% private landlords, businesses. What happened to the percentage for social housing? Where's that go? No one said nothing about that. And two, we have one of the biggest homeless problems in London, and there's been no provisions to put towards sheltered accommodations. Now, for this borough, and I can only speak for this borough, I believe when a development company comes in to build homes, he needs to divide it up. He needs to do, okay, you've got your private landlords and you've got your businesses. Yes, they're putting in the money. They should take at least 60% of whatever, yeah? Then, to me, affordable housing should be abolished. The word affordable housing should be abolished because there is no such thing as affordable housing. To me, that's a swear word. You might as well swear at me when you say that, because no one can afford a house. To buy a home outright, yeah, not rent it, not live there, and pay rent. I'm to buy it outright, yeah. I'll challenge anyone to ring up and say they can go out today and buy a home in Newham Borough, yeah. Buy their own home and get back here by the end of the day with the deeds of lease or whatever long it takes to buy the home to come back with the paperwork. Not possible. So two, they need to abolish that for starters, and bring back social housing. We're dropping social housing out completely. Now, I know the mayor said he's going to build 10,000 homes over the next 4 years, and 1,000 of those homes are supposed to come to Newham. Okay, social housing. 1,000 of those social housing is supposed to come to Newham, which sounds lovely, sounds good, it sounds great, and if it happens, that would be great. But is it more talk again? I mean, over 4 years, are people going to forget about it in 4 years? What's the situation going to be like in 4 years? Maybe there's going to be triple the amount of homeless or people seeking sheltered accommodation in 4 years, where 1,000's not going to be enough. It's a new scheme going to come in maybe 2 years' time. Well, once again, social housing becomes affordable housing. So what I am trying to say is this. First off, we need to just abolish the term affordable homes, because there is no such thing. And when did affordable homes become a substitute for social housing? They're two different things. If you want to add affordable homes, then you say, okay, 60% private landlords and business, 20% social housing, 10% affordable housing, and then and plus for this borough especially, the rest goes on sheltered accommodation for the homeless, because this borough has the biggest homeless epidemic in London, probably in the country. Don't quote me on that, but probably in the whole country. So we need to prioritise, to be honest, because I'd love to know who's affording these homes. Who's affording these homes? I mean, some statistics somewhere, and I think it's from Homeless Link, that the average weekly rent is between £350 to £500 a month. Okay, let's just say you're on some sort of benefit, ESA, tax credit, universal credit. I know housing benefit only pay up to maybe £100. So, and that's if you're living on benefits. If you've got your own home, then you have to pay £500 a month in rent. Add your utilities cost in that. How much do you need to get paid a month just to live? Yeah, these jobs, you have to be in a very good job, yeah, to afford to even rent these homes. And what I'm finding as well, a lot of these property developers, they're buying the land or buying the property, and they're just sitting on them. and waiting for the value to go up and reselling them to another company, which they sit on, waiting for it to go up, and then they're hiring to another company. And we've got the biggest homeless epidemic in Newham, but I challenge anyone to actually look out their window or walk even 5 minutes down the road and not see a brand new building going up, not seeing building construction works going everywhere. Now, I suppose you could say, oh yeah, but that's building this and that's building that. Houses and homes and offices are going up all over this place, especially in Newham, yeah? But yet, we have the biggest homeless in this borough. You know, maybe you've got an answer to that. Maybe I've got something wrong here, I don't know. But all I know is, first off, we need to abolish the term social housing, affordable housing, and bring back social housing. Okay, because I don't know where that's gone. I don't know why people's forgotten about that. I don't. The last time I saw social housing, to be honest, the last time I saw social housing said by anyone was actually Roxana. Okay, I was reading an article and she's trying to sort stuff out housing wise, and I have to get a bit more details on that. And on my show on Friday, I will have a bit more statistics and more facts about it. But we need to get rid of the term affordable homes, because I'll challenge anyone to ring up right now and tell me that they can afford a home right now in this day and age. They can afford to go and buy a home and be a normal resident of this borough. Yeah, I'm not asking for some millionaire or banker to ring up. I'm not asking for some guy that's worked all his life and settling down the pension. I'm talking about your average me, you. I'm talking about the guy walking on the street, the guy going to the shop, you know, to get his meat from the butchers, the people that shop in Iceland's and Lidl's. I'm talking about people like that, yeah? Who, we are the residents, we are the people, the constituents of this borough. But we are the last ones that are getting a say in homes to live in. We're the ones struggling. You know, most of the people that are homeless out there are residents of this borough. And we cannot afford to live in our own borough. We can't. This is why private landlords are just killing it right now. They're killing it right now. And the problem with private landlords is that if they choose to up your rent, you're only going to get so much notice. You know, at least with housing association and councils, they'll let you know month in advance if they're going to up your rent, if you're going to be evicted. Private landlords, they pretty much can do what they want. I know there was a bill put through Parliament a few months back where private landlords have to register and work within council rules, so that they can't be like cowboys, basically, and they've got to come under some sort of council standard when it comes to having tenants. But on the whole, the majority of landlords, you know, and if I was a landlord and, you know, somebody's renting a room from me for £300 a week, yeah, and they've got a job that pays £500, I don't know, a week, they've still got a couple £100. Still got a couple of £100 to bundle with at the end of the week, then someone offers me, you know what, can I give you £500 a week for that same property? I'm going to start thinking of ways of getting rid of you. Well, not me personally, but I'll start thinking of ways of getting rid of you. So that's what landlords are doing. Anyway, you know what, I didn't believe I could actually talk by myself to all you guys for so long without running out of things to say, but I suppose, look, I've covered it. We come to the end of the show. I'll be back Friday 1 till 2 with a couple of guests. And thank you for you listening. Remember, please like, subscribe and comment to YouTube, Twitter and Facebook. And you can catch any previous shows after that. Thank you for listening to Anthony Lewis on Harp Community Radio Talk Show.
British Pest Control Association.